Greetings, Whovians. Whovian Queen here. Hope I have a good week so far. And yes, I'm going to be making videos every Wednesday now instead of every other Wednesday, so there you go. Anyway, so today we're going to be continuing our look at the 11th Doctor era with the conclusion of the Time of Angels two-parter, Flesh and Stone. So, let's take a look at it. The 11th Doctor, Amy, River, and Father Octavian and the surviving clerics escape the approaching weeping angels when the Doctor destroys the gravity globe illuminating the cave they are in, and allowing them to jump into the gravity well of the crashed starship Byzantium. They scramble aside as the weeping angels start to follow, and the Doctor directs the group to the ship's oxygen factory, a forest contained within the ship. As they pass the primary control room, the Doctor notices a familiar crack in its wall, leaking time energy that the weeping angels are being drawn to. Amy starts becoming more afflicted by the image of the weeping angel in her eye. The Doctor instructs her to keep her eyes closed, preventing her from seeing it. Octavian has the clerics guard Amy while he, the Doctor, River make for a secondary control room on the other side of the oxygen factory. During this, the Doctor learns that River is Octavian's prisoner, promised a full pardon if she helps capture the weeping angel. Octavian is killed by Weeping Angel, but this allows the Doctor and River to enter and secure the control room. They analyze the crack and confirm that the leaking energy came from an explosion in time, and are able to narrow the date of the explosion's epicenter. Meanwhile, the Weeping Angels start to move away from the primary control room. The clerics are erased from time by the crack as it grows wider. River teleports Amy to the secondary control room, rescuing her from the Weeping Angels. The Doctor knows they must close the crack, and figures that a complicated space-time event, such as a Time Lord like himself from Hold of the Weeping Angels, must enter the crack to close it. The Weeping Angels drain energy of the Byzantium engines, cause the artificial gravity to fail, and the Weeping Angels fall into the crack. The crack closes, and because the Weeping Angel that affected Amy has been erased from time, she is no longer afflicted by it. River is taken back into custody. Amy asks the Doctor to take her back to Earth on the day he took her, and she shows him that she is to be wed the next day. The Doctor is shocked when he finds that date is the same time as the time explosion that created the cracks. Bum bum bum. So now let's look at the productions episode beginning with the writing. Writer Stephen Moffat came up with the concept for Time of Angels and Flesh and Stone when he was thinking of the worst possible situation to be in with the Weeping Angels, and the thought of the inability to see. His first idea was blindness, though this developed into the situation that Amy ends up in. Moffat designed the two-part story to be a more action-oriented sequel to Blink, an episode he wrote for the third series that introduced the Weeping Angels. He was inspired by the relationship between Alien and its sequel Aliens, which he referred to as the best conceived movie sequel ever, describing it as being more highly colored as opposed to Aliens' more low-key tone. He also intended for the Angels to have a plan that could become almost like a war, in contrast to the way they were struggling to survive in Blink. The title Flesh and Stone was suggested by Moffat's son. Interesting. The episode is also important in the main story arc concerning the cracks in time and space. The idea of the crack was inspired by a similar crack in the wall of Moffat's son. As the crack reappears, several facts about it are revealed. In the episode, the Doctor speculates that they are connected to the fact that Amy can now remember the events of several previous episodes, as well as events in history that had occurred in the next Doctor. He also discovers that the time explosion that caused the crack is June 26, 2010, which is also the original air date of the final episode of the series, The Big Bang. Before the Doctor, River, and Octavian leave Amy and the other clerics, the Doctor briefly returns to console Amy and to ask her to trust him and remember what he told her when she was younger. However, the Doctor in this scene is shown wearing his jacket, which he had lost to the Angels earlier in the episode, as well as a different wristwatch. It is revealed in the Big Bang that this was in fact the Doctor from later in his timeline, setting up events in Amy's past to try to help her remember him after he has rebooted the universe. Riversong tells the Doctor that she'll see him again when the Pandorica opens. The Pandorica was previously referred to by Prisoner Zero in the 11th hour. It is revealed that the Pandorica opens, which also sees the return of River's song. Ah, clever. Many details of the episode were character-driven. The Angel's wish to torture Amy for fun sparked anger in the Doctor, but also gave him courage to defeat the Angels and save Amy. Moffat stated that, in the scene in which the Doctor must work out how to save Amy in a matter of seconds, he was very, very basic, very pure, simple Doctor. He did not have time to comfort Amy because any compassion would get in the way of his reasoning. River was also meant to understand this and explain to Amy that he needed to think. Moffat believed that Amy was passionate and a fighter, and also really smart, which he demonstrated in the scene where Amy could not open her eyes for more than a second but was determined to do it for less than one. Moffat also believed that Amy's attempt to seduce the Doctor was consistent with the character he had built up from her first episode. It reflected the narrow escape from death and challenging experience the two had just shared, and Amy's tendency to do things in the heat of the moment. Although Moffat later admitted he regretted it, he regretted the way he wrote the scene, saying, "I played it for laughs, and it was so wrong." The Doctor's response was intended to be a typical embarrassed and flustered reaction to female behavior of this kind. Yeah. And now finally on to filming and effects. The Time of Angels of Flesh and Stone were the first two episodes to be produced in the series. The read-through for Flesh and Stone took place on July 15, 2009, following the read-through of The Time of Angels. The 4 scenes of the Byzantium were filmed at Puzzlewood, and the Forest of Dean over 9 nights in July 2009. The final scenes on the beach were shot at Southern Down, Vale of Glamorgan in Wales during July 20th to 21st, 2009, the first filming done for the new series. Most of the Weeping Angels are not statue props, but young women wearing masks, costumes, and paint that took 2 to 3 hours to apply. Director Adam Smith called them an absolute nightmare to film with because it took a long time for them to get ready, and they had to stand still for long periods of time. In the climactic scene, Gillian had to walk with her eyes closed, which she said was difficult and challenging as the ground was uneven and muddy. She stated that it was the most scary thing when she had to trip over a step and fall, even though she was aware of the crash mat. As she was not able to express herself through her eyes, Gillian had to make herself more animated to convey emotion. The scene in which the Doctor, Amy, and River are horizontal in midair when the gravity field falls on the Byzantium was achieved using wires and powerful wind machines. The blue in Amy's bedroom was an idea of Adam Smith to show that it was inspired by the TARDIS from Amy's encounter with the Doctor when she was young. Aww. So overall, I really do like this episode, as the conclusion to Time of Angels, it does a really good job of wrapping things up nicely. So, yeah. So overall, I give Flesh and Stone 5 sonic screwdrivers out of 5. And well, tune in next week as we take a look at The Vampires of Venice. Well, hope you enjoyed that video, and if you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up, share it around, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified about when I upload videos. And if you want to help support the channel, be sure to check out my Patreon page. Link, as always, is in the description below. Well, until next time, this is Hooving Queen saying, "Oh my giddy aunt! When I say run, run! I've a similarity to the neutron flow. Would you like a jelly baby? Fantastic! Allons-y! Geronimo!" Bow ties are cool, fezzes are cool, and Stetsons are cool.